Alrighty then. Hey guys, Dante here, and welcome back to my channel, The Burgle Thought, and welcome back to another edition of, well, not the Sunday night art stream, but rather a weekend art stream. Today is Saturday, and excuse me, I was going stir crazy in my house. Didn't do much today. Couldn't meet up with a bunch of friends, and I just kind of was going just nuts. And I'm like, no, I gotta do something, some kind of artwork. I gotta get something done. And this stream was a hassle to get up and going. I tried using a webcam, which rejected several of the USB extension cords. And when I finally got it working, it went ahead and did this weird like CRT TV kind of thing with those like tons of wavy lines in all the shadows. Then I switched over to Droid Cam. And the way Droid Cam works is you have it on your phone, you have it on your PC. But the Droid Cam that was being broadcasted into the OBS program was super low resolution. But the actual Droid Cam window was super clean. So I am using a window capture for Droid Cam, which is the best I could get so far in terms of resolution. It's been a journey. I was gonna try and stream around like 9 o'clock, and here we are. Alright. What are we doing today? Aside from making a new mess on my table, I just cleaned. You can't see it, but everything around is a complete chaotic mess. I had just cleaned the whole workspace. Then I pulled this out and said, screw it. Pushed it all back. New project. So, a while back I bought a bunch of these little, really cute little jars, right? And I bought a nice stack of these off of Amazon. We were going to use these to do a particular piece of artwork. But that artwork was just a hassle to do. It required a lot of molding, plastic casting, clear resin, painting. And it was a project that also wasn't selling very well. It was my demon in a bottle, which was a big demon squeezing his tiny body out of the bottle. What you see here is just me using the same kind of bottle for other projects. So I have a big stock of these bottles. This is my quick attempt at a terrarium with a little plastic flower, 3D printed crystal, and some foam sponge I painted for use of fake soil. So I have a big stock of these, right? And I want to do something with them, and I thought of this. If any of you ever gone to conventions, D&D table conventions, any kind of convention, you might have seen potion bottles, which are basically just using like a type of rubbing alcohol with some metallic elements to give a nice swirly effect. You may have also seen a dice roller. It acts pretty much like a magic 8-ball, where they put the dice inside. It floats usually in a salt water solution, and people usually cover the top with rope and other material to make it look like an old potion bottle. And when you turn it, the dice bloop rolls to the top, and it is a dice roller, right? And a lot of people have been doing that. One person thought about making it a while back, and everybody at a convention is now doing it. But I have different ideas. By the way, excuse my coughing. I have a bit of a itch in the back of my throat I've had for over a week now. I don't know what it is. It's just residual cold, flu, whatever that just stuck with me. Anyway, main topic is this. We got one of these bottles. I have a whole stack of them, a whole pile of them. We are taking this bottle. I have taped one of these bottles in masking tape, and I have jammed it through this ping pong ball and added a bunch of other stuff around it to kind of give it a nice flat base. We are going to sculpt a Beholder. Correction, Beholder's my character. We're going to be sculpting a Beholder from Dungeons and Dragons. I have the dots for where its 10 tendrils will go, a basic smile. We're going to sculpt all around that, right? We're going to sculpt it on a base as well. And then when we're done, we are going to pull this out eventually, and we're going to make a mold of that. And what we're going to be making is a kind of magic 8-ball, but it's going to be a beholder, and it has the dice inside of it. So it's a Magic 8-ball kind of dice roller, but in the inside the beholder. That's the final product. The original product I had in mind, I actually wanted to make. Same idea. It was gonna be I was gonna sculpt a bunch of beholders around one of those little pop dice. If you ever played the game, sorry, but apparently they must own the copyright for that particular, or the patent for that particular little popping dome dice popper, because you cannot buy them anywhere. They don't exist anywhere in the market. I was thinking of using also a DIY snow globe. You could buy a bunch of those off of Amazon, but because it's rounded, it's a snow globe, I don't think the dice would be able to float and stay flat. So anyway, that's the journey that got me here. I want to do a pop eye. I want to try a snow globe, and I decided, you know what? I have a whole stack of these. We're gonna use these with a bunch of regular 6-sided dice, which I'm gonna get in the mail soon. Nice tiny 6-sided dice, and we're gonna make a bunch of Magic 8-ball beholders. And that's the preamble. That's the preamble. I got my epoxy my epoxy clays. Once again, these are, as I like to use a lot, Freeform Sculpt. They're water-based epoxy, meaning that they're epoxy, but they're very sticky. So you gotta use water to actually get, to get a grip on it, or rather to not get a grip. If you don't want everything to stick onto it. I'm just doing some last-minute checks, seeing what live streams are going. I think we're good over on YouTube. Checking. Yep, we're good on YouTube. And we're good on Twitch as well. Alright. So I guess we'll just start with some coding. Let's put a bunch of clay in the bottom. Let's get the ground done. I'm thinking like a brick background. Like he's kind of sits, in front of your typical like dungeon stone background. I'm using silicone mat, which I got super cheap. This is like a cup. You pull this up and it's a cup. I'm keeping it low. All it needs is a little bit of water. I love the silicone mat. It's great for like acrylic. It's meant for watercolor, but it's great for acrylic and anything you don't want to stick to it. Which is why we're using it for this. I have been MIA. There we go. I had to think about it. I've been MIA from streaming lately. One, because I've been a little sick, and two, because I was a little burnt out from getting a lot of stuff done for previous conventions. The Long Island Retro Gaming Convention went very well. Do I wish I could have sold more? Of course, but I did good. I made back the table. I covered my travel money, which was way too much money, to be honest. That's the only issue with that convention. It's a lot of money for me to travel back and forth. And then I made a little extra money too. The only convention left is in November. I'll be at the Big Apple Winter Market. I have my 4-day ticket for New York Comic Con, baby. I will be going to New York Comic Con and enjoying myself for sure. Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, I noticed that Critical Role was at Anime NYC this year, and I hope they're going to be at New York Comic Con because I missed them last year, and I hope they're going to be here this year because I want to get at least one autograph. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I've just been taking kind of easy on heavy projects. But if any artist out there understands the struggle, even if you're not doing the art, you're thinking of it. I got a few projects that have been consuming me mentally, and I'm gonna eventually do some drawings of them. These are once again more like 3D projects, actually construction projects, making projects. So I'm gonna probably do some drawing just to get them on paper. That way I can still focus physically on other projects like this. Alright. Okay, let's lay out some background here. I'm not sure how big. Where's my? I need a pair of scissors. Get rid of this. Yeah. So a few projects I've been thinking of that have come into mind. Of new, that is. I had an idea. I'm going to share it with you people. So I had an idea of, if any of you have ever had any of the old Ninja Turtle toys, the older one, like old meaning like, I say old, but then again the Turtles have been around for so many iterations. I'm speaking of like the 80s toys, right? So in the 80s into the 90s, they had a particular Ninja Turtle toy where the turtle shells opened up in the back. So it was all the turtle, or it was all your favorite turtles, and their backs opened up and had like a little storage area to put like their weapons. It was one of the many gimmicks that they made for Ninja Turtles, because any gimmick you can think of, they made it. They made a turtle for it. So this one was, yeah, you would get like a little Raphael, Leonardo, whatever, and you open their backs, and there was like a little door, like their shell would open up like a closet, right? You could put a bunch of like small stuff in there, like ninja throwing stars, little slice of pizza, whatever, right? So I remember having one of those when I was little, and as of recently, I've been thinking of this card game. Not a card game. It's a battle mat game. Check it out if you can. It is called Necro Mold. Necro Mold, as in to mold clay, and Necromancer, Necro Mold. Check them out. I believe it's an independent company. Like they're doing it themselves online. It's a really cool idea, where you are a wizard. You are an evil necromantic wizard. You get a cool ring with a skull on it. It's 2 players. So each player gets one of those. Each player gets a book. A little book about this wide, maybe a little bit thinner, of course. But it's a plastic book. You get 2 books. In the back of the book, it tells you this book allows you to make this monster, and here are its stats. But the books are actually molds. Like you would open it up, and it's like those Play-Doh molds. I used to have one when I was little. It was I had a Mickey Mouse mold. Me and my sisters used to love that toy. You would make Mickey Mouse, and you would make Goofy, and you would make Minnie Mouse out of Play-Doh. So Necro Mold, basically, you get your clay. Each player gets a certain amount of clay. Each player gets 2 books, maybe 3 if you get the expansion, and you make as many little minions. You little guys, yay big. You make as many minis as possible with the clay you have. You can decide to make a bunch of grunts, or maybe a few less characters that are a bit more meaty and stronger. And then you play the game from there. And you kill each other, you wound each other, different attacks. Every time someone dies, you take your ring and you squish it into the ground, and it leaves like a little death sigil. So Necro Mode, check them out. They deserve the love because it's a great concept. And from what I could tell, the game has 3 sets of instructions for like beginners / like families, intermediate, which is like the 2 guys going at it like crazy at a table, and then like the more complicated, which is like with expansions and stuff. Anyway, so I was thinking about Necro Mode, and I don't know, my mind connects weird things. So I was thinking about Necro Mode, right? I was thinking about that Mickey Mouse toy I had when I was little. I was thinking about the Ninja Turtle toy. And I was thinking about, man, I remember when the Ninja Turtle toys used to have all these little tiny accessories. Not many toys have tiny accessories nowadays because, you know, kids swallow crap because they're dumb. Uh, but Ninja Turtles used to have, like, you would get a character like Wingnut. He was a bat. And he had a little guy who was a mosquito who would come with him. I think he was Screwloose. I'm not too sure. And then he would have, like, a gun, and he would have a missile launcher. And so you had Ninja Turtle toys that had little characters and accessories. I was like, what if a toy made its own accessories? So the idea I have in mind, which I'm going to be probably drawing in the next art stream later on, is what if you have a big chunky toy, you know, kind of a chunky boy, you know, the best description I could give is if you ever had the old Power Ranger monster toys. They were big guys. They were like, I guess you could say they were something like this. They were chunky, heavy plastic, kind of like a soft vinyl. If you had any of the old Ninja Turtle any of the old original Power Ranger toys in the 90s, you might have had like a figurine like that. So, you know, big chunky toy, right? But the toy's back opens up, and it's a mold. Like the toy kind of opens up like a shell, right? This figurine opens up like a shell, and you could put clay in it, and you can make little figurines. You can make accessories for the character. Maybe the characters have big squat feet, so you can stomp the feet and make even more stuff. And that was kind of like, that idea just stuck with me. A toy that makes its own accessories, right? And you could use air dry clay, make them permanent accessories or not. You know, do whatever you wish. I should have cut this down more, a bit too much on one side. I'll figure it out. But that was kind of going through my mind, like, oh man, wouldn't that be great? And I've just been non-stop brainstorming on it. And at first I thought I could be a soldier, right? You could get a military guy with a big backpack, so he makes up the room for the piece that opens up. But then I didn't like it that much, because then I feel I am kind of walking too much into the necro mode concept, where like it's one guy who makes himself an army. So I want to avoid that. And I thought, oh, you know what? Let's go with classic monsters. Let's go with a werewolf, Dracula. Let's go with a hunchback. Dracula has a big cape, and the cape can open up. The werewolf is hunched over. His back can open up. The hunchback, that's obviously. So then I started mentally designing all these ideas. And I was like, okay. By the way, hey Rex, good to see you. Thank you for jumping in. So I was thinking, like, for example, if it was Dracula, with his big, how I need a figurine. Stand by. Okay, pretend this is Dracula. So he has one arm, the typical one arm out, one arm facing forward. So the arm that's out is holding the cape. So my hands is cape, right? So it's a big kind of rectangular body because the cape is here. So this arm will have the articulation. It can move up and down. The head can move back and forth. But this arm and the cape where my hand is at is solid, and that is the mold, if that makes sense. That's kind of like the general idea I had for him. And then you open it up and you put the clay in, and you can make little figurines, kind of like in the vein of what was that, Ultimate Muscle? I think in America it was called Ultimate Muscle. And it can make little Ultimate Muscle figurines of like his brides and a cross and a stake, and the bottom of him, like when you stomp his entire body into the ground, like when he put his feet into the ground, you can make little bats. And that was kind of the idea. I just had bouncing them out of my head for a while, and I just can't get rid of it. But yeah, I'll do some drawings for that at a later point. I don't know if I should have cut this short. You know what? Yeah. that short. Rex is joining us, everyone. Rex, awesome individual. Good friend, crazy man. Love him, love him. I just realized I didn't plug in my secondary device. It's at 50% power. Keep an eye on that. Right now, doing some rough shaping. Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I've seen. This is one artist I follow online, and he's just been doing. Just recently, actually, and he might be maybe mentally he's also an inspiration for this. In the back of my head, maybe. Um, he's been producing tons and tons of like variations of the iconic Beholder, different colors, and you think it's you think to yourself, oh, it's the same idea all the time, right? It's just a giant floating head or one eyeball. No, he's actually been giving it a lot of character. Every single Beholder he does is his own unique character. It's really cool. And I with that being said, I didn't really plan a look for him ahead of time. I'm just kind of jumping into it with the sculpting. You see how wide it's gonna go. So on the docket right now in terms of needed projects, or not needed, but in terms of what's kind of taking the forefront right now, I have re-illustrated a lot of the background artwork for my card game Ascending Assassins, because I wasn't happy with the quality of the prints. No matter how many times I would print it, the backgrounds kept coming out too dark, so I just completely redid the backgrounds. And we'll do a test print of the newer ones eventually. But even with the old ones with the bad background, I can still do a lot of test plays. So you hear that, Katorius Rex? I'm going to get you and a few other people to help me test play that. I want to get that game out. That way I can fully continue advertising of Tolls and Trolls and Ascending Assassins as my original card games. Really push those out. I'm of course still working on my video game concepts. I'm slowly plucking away at sprite work. But after a while, I had to get away from it for a little bit. So it's a card game, the sprite work, and one or two figurines I want to sculpt as well that have kind of been on the back burner. So like I said, I covered this with red masking tape, and I hope once this epoxy dries, I'll be able to slide the bottle out, and then we'll sand out the negative space, like the tunnel straight through, before it's time to mold it. So I just checking my phone. I got a ping. That's the bad thing about having to use a phone as the camera. You start getting like messages. You always get messages as soon as you don't need them. It's like, I don't need it right now. I'm working on a project. Hold on, I gotta send you this photo of a cute kitten. I've actually been doing some sculpting recently using basic like cheese wax, which is actually pretty good for like simple quick stuff. It also is very soft, so it's good for quick stuff, but like a simple like touch or rub against it and then all of a sudden it gets kind of messed up. So it's kind of, I don't know if I'm going to be using that for like complicated stuff, which is why I like using this epoxy clay. Even though, to be honest, when you have to edit it or change something, you basically have to like drill into it. Like you sand it and like but the reason I'm using the clay in general, like the reason I'm using like epoxy clay or even the wax in previous projects is because I've switched to using silicone molding, and that that does not play well with my old plastilina clay. Yeah, sulfur-based clay is a no-no for that kind of stuff. No, Raj, I don't care about getting cheap views. Freaking robots. Freaking bots! I'm sniffling like crazy. I just realized the retro gaming picture is still popping up in the chat. Sorry about that. I forgot to remove that. Let's do some little triangular teeth. Not sure how sunken in I want them. Not sure if I really did like the chin to kind of like start pushing it forward. I'm not sure how. You know what? Now let's bring out the let's give him a bottom jaw first. I don't want him to be a perfectly round creature. Maybe give him some wrinkles. Yeah, so rather than have a chiseled like chin, he has like all these little wrinkles. Regretfully, the water from this is rubbing off all the markings I made for the would-be tendrils. By the way, tendrils have a bunch of miscellaneous plastic castings from the past. I made a mold a while back of some really cool looking tendrils and even tentacles from like an octopus toy. I think the tendrils are probably from a Spawn toy. See little teeth at the end? It was one Spawn toy. I'm sure someone out there would know. It was a big ass toy. My cousin had it, like, or my was it my cousin? So the family member that had a big ass Spawn toy and it broke apart, and I made really quick molds of all the tendrils back in the day when I was first learning how to make molds. And then whenever I have a little too much resin, if I make something and I realize, oh, I made way too much epoxy resin, I'll grab that mold and just pour it in instead of a bunch of tendrils, which we could use to do kind of like a kit bash, using the tendrils along with a little bit of sculpting around it to make them more unique to me. But it's nice to have them, you know. So I'm thinking, should I just go ahead? But you notice that the bottle goes from here all the way to the base, because in the end we would slide it in from the base to fit in there. I was thinking, should I just go ahead and give a thin layer of skin all around this? I'm still debating how much of that chin, how much I want to pull out this chin to show the teeth. You know what? Let's do the teeth first. And then we can always add skin, because the skin's gonna be on top of it. You know, that's how it works, right? The teeth on the inside, right? Last time I checked. Just doing little pyramids, little chunky teeth. I'm not too sure how cutesy I want this to look, or if I want it to look really detailed and gory. I don't know. I can hear people shouting in the hallways. Saturday night, everyone's having too much fun. Dang, kids. There's some kid, some teenager, who loves to practice basketball in the evening in the hallway of my building. So I just hear him bouncing his freaking basketball like every evening. I'm just waiting one day for him to like hit my door and break something. Cause I have stuff hanging outside on my door, and that way I can have an excuse to run there and be like, "What the hell are you doing out here?" Like, I'm not gonna bug him until something happens, you know? As I sculpt this, I'm thinking about... actually, it's on a shelf off to the side of me. I'm not gonna go get it now. But I remember I did like a bunch of like faux tiki heads. It was an old project I did a while back. Like these kind of like tiki, like these like... I took medicine bottles. I took some medicine bottles, and I did a bunch of like tiki heads around them. It was actually, if you go to my YouTube channel, I think it's like one of the first videos, art videos I did. It was called The Artist Eye, taking everyday objects and turning them into art. It was like one of the very first videos I ever did. And yeah, I turned a pill bottle into a tiki head. And I was always really proud of the way the teeth came out on that. So I'm just, like I said, I'm just doing little triangles, little pyramids, and I'm kind of haphazardly interlocking them. Then I'll go in with a finer tool and actually like do the fine details around them. And even then I might bulk out, like I might even add on top of that to bulk it out a bit more. Actually blow into this to get the water off, because sometimes the water begins to like pool on top of the clay. You start adding too much water to the tools, it begins to pool, and it's like you're just sloshing around mud at that point. You see what I mean? Like the teeth are curving down, and they still work, but kind of iffy about that. let's give this guy. Maybe if I give him a big bottom lip, that'll help me figure out what I'm looking at. He looks a bit goofy. Kind of okay with that. See what I mean? The moment one part of your finger gets dry, the clay's like, I'm gonna stick to you. Doesn't matter how wet everything else is, I'm gonna stick to that one singular finger piece. A little part of your thumb that's dry, I'm now stuck to it. That was a very short piece of music, by the way. I'm trying to add a little asymmetrical nature, making the lip lean out one way, like kind of off to the side. Bring it close to the camera so you can see what I got here. Oh, forgot the camera was all centered to me. If I don't like it, you know, roughly 20. This stuff usually takes about 20 minutes to like cure. Not even cure, but to like reach a real hardness where you can really handle it. I can still like chip away at it with like a X-Acto knife. Excuse me. And if it dries all the way, I just freaking take a Dremel and drill away at it. So I don't know if Rex is still with us. He probably has been in the background right now. Knowing him, he's doing some drawing or some writing. I'm not gonna share exactly what his project is, but Rex is getting ready for the Halloween season, and I for one can't wait to see what he produces out of it. Every year he wants to do something Halloween related, so it's nice to see he's finally like getting a jump on it, you know, ahead of time. You know what I'm thinking? Since I'm sinking the lip a little bit on the right side, or his left, maybe I should do the same, like give him the kind of Ninja Turtle scowl, or like once, you know, the kind of teardrop shape the Ninja Turtles used to have, the old toys. Yeah, like that. There we go. I like that. Not exactly what I was imagining when I was. To be honest, I don't know what I was imagining when I was first sculpting this. Just adding some like details to the lip, make it look like it's some cracked lips. Get rid of the teeth up here. Don't need that. There we go. Oh! Okay, that's coming together better. Just need to sharpen those teeth a bit more. Okay. Okay, it's coming along. We got a general idea of like some of the face going on. Got a little bit of Audrey 2 vibes, but I'm cool with that. Okay, let's see if we can get some skin on him. I need to figure out how I want to do the eyelids. So I'm right now just giving them lots of wrinkly skin, pretty much. Just doing lots of lines. There was something chunky in the clay. Piece of dried. Yeah, little piece of dry clay that shouldn't be there. Give him some kind of crow's feet. Wrinkles right where the top and bottom lid should meet. I mean, I have to coat this whole thing in a thin layer of clay no matter what. A thin layer, no matter what. Because it's just a ping pong ball. I need to like harden the ping pong ball. So when I pull the bottle out, it doesn't just collapse on itself. I'm also going to make some little holes or dots where the tendrils should be. Because I haven't figured out how I'm going to sculpt the tendrils around the guy. You know, I'm not sure like how wild and crazy I'm going to go. You're crazy. Let's get a little shot of him. Alright, there we go. Do some curving lines where his smile is, and then do some overlapping lines to blend in the seams of where. Yeah, I'm just giving him lots of wrinkly skin, pretty much. It's a pretty easy, straightforward way to like hide all your seams. So it is September. Actually, it's going to be September soon. And because it's going to be September soon, that means you better start getting ready for Halloween, baby. I once again just consumed with like getting ready for conventions and stuff. Either having a table at them or just enjoying them. Either way. And because of that, like I haven't really thought of like any costume stuff for Halloween. I think if I'm going to work on any costume for Halloween, I might take some time to fix up the last costume I wore at Comic Con, which is my Statue of Tyranny. Because I gave one of the arms to Katorius Rex because I had it signed by one of the co-creators of Ninja Turtles, and I was like, I didn't have any like magazines on me. I was like, do you mind just signing like this arm, which is a cosplay? So, co-created Ninja Turtles, and I believe, I don't know if it was the head artist, but one of the main artists of Ronin, either the cover artist or the artist behind the book itself. I need to double check who that is, but he was right there next to him. So I had them both sign it, and I gave it to Katorius Rex because he's a huge Ninja Turtle fan. I know he'd appreciate it. And because it's a giant robot arm, I'm like, dude, you could take this around and have it signed by like every artist who's ever worked on a freaking Ninja Turtle comic. All the artists, all the writers, just sign the whole arm up and down, man. And it makes for a good conversation piece. Why is there a giant robot arm on your table? Well, let me tell you. That looks pretty damn good. Yeah, look at that. This looks pretty good. I want to do some textures. Do I have anything that'd be good for texture on the rock? This is more for like skin texture though, and it can't really get into the little in betweens. Little dots. You know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna do like a few random dots at like different pressures. Ooh. Also drag it to give the rock some like cracked seams right there. And second cup of water right here before I spill it. Let's see. Pulling out the tool belt. A bigger one for different sizes. They're not all the same. Tools you see here were donated graciously by my sister. I love my sister. She is awesome. She saw I was like making tools online, like I was showing how to make cheap tools like this. I can make a cheap tool for, you know, with just spare parts you have in the house. And she was like, no, you need to have like actual tools, Dante. And she got me this nice big old mix. So this combined with like some dentistry, there we go, dentistry tools I have. Came in handy. The dentist tools came from Joe. Came from Rex, so that was nice. I think, yeah. As they say, trust the process. You gotta trust it. few out. Might come in handy. Okay. Put the rest to the side. Nope, not there. Knocking everything off the table. Trying to fix this spot here. I'm not happy with. Doesn't want to cooperate though. Maybe once this dries here, I might sculpt over this tooth because the tooth is curving with the shape of the head. Maybe I'll sculpt over it and have it actually overlap the lip. This tooth right here. I'm gonna put a pinch more clay in the gap where his eyelids meet. Once again, just trying to like strengthen the plastic ping pong ball. Then eventually we can slide this out. Now before I go too far, okay, let's estimate. Let's say one right here, one right here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then one in the back, 10. There we go. So those will be our anchor points for just a kind of guiding point for where to put all the tendrils. However they may look. Okay, they're gonna probably be all over the freaking place. Okay, just stick it right in there. There we go. So, per usual, when I have nothing else to say on this channel, let's talk about cartoons. Let's talk about what's been happening lately. So, Murder Drones, the independent animation known as Murder Drones, has officially ended. I say officially. Its story has been told. However, much like Avatar: The Last Airbender or any good show out there, it left enough little open areas to make you go, I want to see more. Characters such as Jay, because V's the good guy. V was a good guy, eventually. But characters like Jay are still up and about out there. And the fighting in that show can be so frantic that it took me a while to realize like what happened. I was like, she's not. Where did she go? Did she just up and disappear? It took me a little while to realize that she got like knocked out of the fray of the fight, and if it is a show that you have to watch multiple times because things go by so quickly. It's a blink and you miss it show. It's still very entertaining, but it's a blink and you miss it show. And during the credits, I believe it is her that's desperately trying to like weld together a new spaceship. That's the only issue between like some of the characters. Like overall, all the characters are drones that have been altered to look differently. So all the drones, Uzi, her dad, all of them are just drones that like wear literally just different hats and wigs. So V and J, there's always been an issue with me between V and J. Like in the first episode with the two of them together, it was hard to tell who was who at a certain point. But I'm pretty sure in the credits it's J, if I'm getting the names correct. It's J, the bad guy, the one with the pigtails. It's her you see like trying to rebuild a spaceship. And it's a fun show, man. It was a really fun show. It's a show where you could do. It's much like Ruby. It relies a lot on. It relied because it's technically over at the moment. It relied a lot on spectacle, but it had enough good story and background to back it up. Ruby, I enjoyed it because of spectacle, and when I first started watching Ruby, it was spectacle and like the pacing of the comedy was like really simple but fun. You watch the first episode of Ruby, there's a certain amount of comedy that's kind of lost now because the characters are like constantly on alert to fight evil. So there is a change from when it first started to what it is now, and you can argue that's because of the original creator passed away. But it was still a lot of spectacle with slow character development, a slow introduction to the characters, if you would. But with Murder Drones, it was like we only got a certain amount of time. Here are the characters. Here's the background story. Here's the comedy. The sense of comedy, and purpose and angst that they know is over the top. They put that angst in there that's over the top. It's meant to be like that. It carries very well throughout the entire series. It doesn't really get lost, which I'm happy with. So, you gotta give them credit for that. And I do want to see what happens with Digital Circus. I feel it's gonna like gut punch us many, many times as well. I feel like it's gonna be similar to Murder Drones in that it'll have like really silly stuff, and then randomly it'll be like, oh, that's dark. That's dark. Why is this happening all of a sudden? I'm just right now reinforcing the base because there's still a little bit of the foam board sticking to it. Okay, let's see what's really left on this. Rounding out the brick detailing. Alright. So we're pretty good with we're pretty good with the head actually. Oh, wait. Still a little bit of foam board sticking out on his chin, on his chinny chin chin. Alright, that looks good. Okay, so let me go get what we need, what I have. So these are all kind of junk plastic resin castings taken from the curved tendril mold. I have a mold that's curved and a mold that's straight. Come on, come on. I'm emptying into my little plastic container here. Is that the last one? No, I have one more on the committee. Now, so now that we have the basic guide, what really comes down now, what it comes to now is, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not proportion, but layout, like how I want this to all to look. Composition, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do I have 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, yeah. I might have a bunch overlapping each other. Alright, let's see. The main thing is I want them to stay roughly within. I don't want them to expand too much outward because we have to make a mold of this. Gonna be lots of like overlapping. So let's try some overlapping. First things first. Where are you? Where are you? Give me a second. Just want to trim. I just want to trim the base of this off. Straight. Got it. Okay. Sorry, doing mental gymnastics. Put you there. Put a smaller one coming out from in here. Right. Put another small one like that. Have one curving backwards. If I could snap it in half. There we go. Because it is 10, right? I'm not going crazy. Stand by. Oh, I gotta get a charger anyway. Stand by, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just trying to get a charger for one of my devices. Alright. So, yes, it is 10 tendrils altogether. So I'm merely trying to plan out where I want them. Curving some of these bad boys in different directions. Let's see. Technically, I could try and mirror them, like mirror how they're bending. That's not working right now for me well. Wait a minute. Okay, you and you. You're those two. Alright. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That cannot be right. Something's off. Reset. Okay, the big one in the center is going up to the side. Okay, so you're here, you're here. There's one underneath. I'll curve that one up as well. Kind of mirroring that guy. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back here. Let's keep you flat as well. Turn him up. Keep him flat. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The center one's crawling out. That's a 7. 8, 9, 10. There we go. And 9, 10 will be this guy. More or less equally curving. this is all gonna be a pain in the ass. All of this is gonna be a pain in the ass. So the option we have is that I make molds of these individually and then attach them all together. Or I just start sculpting these guys sitting on top of each other, just like overlapping them. I think I might need to do that. I might need to go and just straight up sculpt. Yeah, I just have to sculpt all this into place. It's gonna be a bit tricky, guys, but it should be worth it. Okay, my device was literally at 1%. It was at 1% right before I plugged it in. Okay. I mean, we're right now at the hour and a half mark, which is not bad. Hour and a half, and we got this guy pretty much sculpted it. Now we just got a matter of figuring out how to do the tendrils. Part of me, in truth, part of me wants to just let that dry, and then we could sculpt the tendrils secondary. But then what we're gonna do for the rest of the stream, you ask? Well, I got some other ideas. So I am making a some of you may remember my transforming human characters, in which I customized a bunch of wrestling figurines, other figurines similar to it. These are I basically customized a bunch of toys that transformed regular people into monsters. Usually those people were carrying an object, a box, a bag, something chunky with them. So I decided to go ahead and it was called the Pack. The Pack as in like not just backpack, but like a pack PC with a T between two creatures. And the idea was each person, each human character, is shown carrying some kind of like object with them. Usually like it's like a backpack or a purse. And it's actually secretly a creature, kind of like a symbiote, if you would. That transforms them into a monstrous character. Most of the characters are villains, except for like one or two people. So I decided to go back to scratch, right? We're not gonna customize figurines. I'm not gonna use wrestling figurines. I'm gonna redo my entire line of pack concepts in a 5-inch scale using this cheap mold of Batman. I have a Batman and a Xena figurine, both 5 inches. I'm using them as the base mold for these concepts. And this guy is carrying a bag in front of him. When it opens up, his chest opens up to a monster face, and his hands become giant like claws. So I designed the mechanics in my 3D printer. So it was designed in a 3D printer for the mechanics, and I'm right now attaching the mechanics, and I'm gonna sculpt around that. So this, something just fell. Oh. So right about here, you can see there's a little piece right here that attaches. So there is an inner piece missing, which is why I have these big two triangles. But he is carrying, if I can get this to fit properly, there we go. He's carrying a big box, right? I'm gonna resculpt the head. I'm gonna resculpt the arms right here and right there. and it opens up, and this goes backwards like that. This kind of goes inside out as well. It's going to be tons of organic material and claws. There's these giant claws that come out, and his chest is going to have this piece that flips up that covers his face, right? So this is going to require lots of careful sculpting, and then when it's all done, I'll disassemble it and I'll be able to make a 3D mold of it. But for now that I know that this is centered in the correct spot, I'm just going to go ahead and fill in some of the gaps here. If a little bit left, might as well fill it up, then we can call it a night. So he is going to look like a delivery guy. Like a FedEx delivery guy carrying a box wherever he goes. But in truth, the box is this kind of parasitic creature that just kind of takes the shape of a box. The inspiration actually was like real life creatures. If anyone's ever seen Finding Dory, and by the way, I thought about this before I saw Finding Dory, because I haven't seen Finding Dory. But in Finding Dory, I do know there's an octopus, and one of the running gags is that he's able to just like, he's able to change the color of his body and just bend his body just enough where he can like camouflage into other objects. Like he'll look like other objects. So sea life was in fact inspiration for this. Yes, I'm gonna probably resculpt the head. The arms are gonna look completely resculpted, and I'm gonna redo the feet to give them a big old chunky boots. Yes, and basically I took this concept I have, rather than be stuck to the design of like wrestling figurines and action figurines, I'm gonna just completely redo them as 5-inch figurines in my style. It does require a rethinking of how the transformations work, because it's on a smaller scale. Which also probably means that it's going to be simplified. They're not going to have full articulation. Most articulation will probably just be in the transformation. Ugh. Sorry, just trying to grab some more clay. Yeah, we'll go for like another 15-20 minutes and then we'll call it a night. So once again, it's epoxy clay, so it has to be as close to 1-to-1 when you're mixing them together. Nope, still need a bit more of the cream colored one. There we go. Alright then. Yeah, we're just gonna fill up his chest. Just to fit some of the mechanics. In fact, what I'm gonna do? We're gonna try. So, we're gonna try and do a little bit of sculpting around this tiny piece. Cause that, essentially, this folds up and becomes a new face for him. So we're gonna do a little work on that too. I got like paper stuck to me. There we go. Okay. So where were we? Yeah, let's work on this. So I'm thinking maybe we do a tongue first. And you know what? No, first things first. Before we even do the tongue, let's actually just add clay around this to like strengthen it up, make it a bit stronger. Same thing right there beneath, what is it, the clavicle? Here we go. There we go. Okay. Make sure that piece is like nice and stuck in his chest for future work. So if you were to go on my Instagram or my DeviantArt page, I know a lot of people have been forsaking DeviantArt, and I can't blame them. You probably will find the original concept drawing for this, which is, you know, it has a big beak like this, like a big bird beak, giant like lobster hands, and and he has a green skin, and he's dressed like a delivery guy. That's this character. So when I went to Comic-Con 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, one of the panels was being hosted. One of the panels was by a man who has worked and still works in Transformers as a designer, and he worked on Beast Wars. So that was really fun. And he was describing how essentially how the designing process works for a toy line, which a lot of it is beforehand. Beast Wars was like all the toys came beforehand, and then they had to make an entirely new series out of it, brand new. No one wanted dinosaurs and tigers and crap like that, but it worked out. And essentially the way it was is that they would get these kind of skeletons, these would-be Transformers, these protoforms, if you would. And they were like, okay, so this goes from a two-legged character to a roughly biped character. This freaking back music. It could be go from a bipedal character to a humanoid character. And they were like, well, if we sculpt on top of it, we can make Cheetor. We can make a tiger or a leopard or you know whatever we want. Mm. And he said that's what it really was. They would get mechanical. I mean, they would get a bunch of mechanical concepts and then sculpt around them to make the toys. So, but they would also make designs. So he was like, yeah, we made it. We would just make designs that that kind of made sense to us. Like we'll draw like there was a triple changer that was like Dinobot. So he was a robot, a Velociraptor, and like a Cobra. So they had a general, you know, the guys who draw it have a general idea of how it might transform, even though it's not their job to design the transformation. You know, it takes an army, it takes a village to make these toys. So they have characters. They have people who would make character designs. Then you have people who would just do physical construction of like transforming bits, and then you had people who would take those transforming bits and turn them into the characters. And it's a lot of back and forth. It was really interesting watching how that worked. By the way, out of all the soundtracks, this is the one I can't stand. So I'm just adding clay gently to this to strengthen this piece. Because I did print it in two really tiny small pieces because the supports for it were like just getting in the way. Like trying to get the supports off were causing me to snap this. So I had to do these in two different pieces and then carefully glue them together. So we're gonna fit something like that. So now we can sculpt a face around that pretty much. I might have mentioned this before. I have a nice book from Varna Studios, VAR, Varna, and Varna's one guy, but of course he has a whole crew with him. And they were the ones who designed and sculpted a lot of the original Ninja Turtle toys. And it's just really fun seeing like a lot of these designs, some of which never saw the light of day. And just seeing like really crazy design concepts, just things that were like, you know, a character who was a snake covered in snakes and bullet holes. they got away with a lot of stuff. Yeah, trying to figure out how wide to make this. Because this head sits in the chest, but has to also have enough room for the big crab hands the guy's gonna have. You know what? Let me flush out the gums. Gonna add a bit more to the sides. Luckily, he has a flat snout, so I can stand him up just like that. There we go. Just trying to give him little sharp teeth. Ugh, that's asymmetrical. Kind of make me upset. I'm doing also sculpting, realizing I don't know how I'm gonna try and mold this later on, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. If I have to add more clay to like fill in the gaps, and, like sneakily hide like holes and whatnot. It's like if you ever see original old D&D figurines, little tiny metal ones, the characters usually had capes because it was hard to like mold in between the feet. Yeah, I might not just kind of filling in all the gaps, making this little tiny piece of plastic a bit more sturdy. I don't know how well you can see that, but yeah, he has his tongue, and he has a one big tooth on either side. Kind of looks like a boar with a big old nose. There's a tooth here and a tooth there. Oh man, that wasn't even a good cough. It just kind of like lost air when I did that. So as I build it up, I'll probably make the teeth a bit more chunky, more bulbous. That way, when I go to mold it, it'll be a lot easier to mold. Probably a sandwich mold coming this way. Yeah. Put that right there for now. Let's double check this guy. Making sure none of this clay will get in the way. It's one of those things I have to like I have to slowly work on him. He's pretty good to go. Once he dries, tendrils are gonna go on him. I'll do some sanding, I'll do some chipping, and then he's ready to go soon. Him is like sculpt one piece, make sure it fits. Sculpt the other piece, make sure it fits. So on and so forth. And also, since I plan to make silicone molds to reproduce this guy, I have to also think about think a little ahead of how will I make it easier for me to get that part done. In fact, right now I'm just flying this out because this is filler. This isn't even going to be sculpted. I'm going to add more clay on top to sculpt that, make it look nicer. It'll fit in the chest just like that. And then there'll be a 2-part hinge that goes whoop and puts it right about there. So I'm gonna have to bulk out this way. That way it could cover the face nicely. I'll probably also resculpt the head and have the head forward a bit more, kind of like he's carrying the box and resting his chin on it. And that way it would definitely like socket. If the heads will be forward, so this could be go right on it. Maybe give him some wild hair so the hair kind of covers the sides of this as well. You can see I actually drilled away some of the chin on this, just to see how it fits, like that. So he's gonna be resculpted. He's gonna look a little goofy. These characters are kind of in the vein of the Ghostbuster toys, the haunted humans, where they're all gonna be a little bit odd in their proportions, to make the transformation work. I want to make a few of these and see how that goes. Like this, I could reproduce and sell myself. This, I want to make it and kind of make a prototype, and from there, I have no idea where it's gonna go from there, to be honest. I don't know how to pitch a toy concept to a company in such a way where the toy company itself would pick it up, as opposed to me, because I don't have the means or the know-how to get a company from China to help me start making it and stuff like that. Usually when someone is pitching a toy, they already have all this planned out. It's the early days of Kickstarter, where they would okay, we already have a company lined up, we have a business lined up, we have a factory lined up, we just need someone to make the order and buy it. And that's what Toy Fair was about back in the day. New York City Toy Fair was all about that, where they'll showcase their work to multiple companies, like Toys R Us. The guys from Toys R Us would walk around and be like, we want 500 units of this toy, and then the guy goes into production and makes toys. This, I'm more approaching it more like, here's a toy concept, I own the concept, would you like to buy it from me? At least that's the idea at the moment. Maybe I'll do a small one myself and just kind of sell it myself, Not so much mainstream, but more like the collector's market. I'm right now just trying to get this clay off my fingertips. Alright. So, let that dry, let it harden, it'll be a lot easier to handle. This bad boy looks pretty good. There it goes. Looks pretty good. I'm just right now roughing up the stone detailing. So when it comes down to it, once he hardens enough and I feel comfortable working on it, I'll then start sculpting the tendrils. But we're gonna sculpt them in such a way where they overlap enough where I could just do a mold of them. They're gonna be kind of like spaghetti laying on top of each other. Not so much like this where it was like big gaps and openings in it. We do have to figure out, you know, how we're gonna lay them out, of course. How we're gonna lay out these tendrils. How we're gonna lay out all these shapes. Let me plug up some of the holes I made. That way I don't have to worry about it when I actually go to work on it later on. But the main piece is done. I will sculpt eventually on the bottom really thin and just fill in the gaps. So in the end, this cylinder, this potion bottle will just be slid right out. So I can make the potion bottles, paint this guy separately, and plug the potion bottles right in. And the potion bottles are their own issue because these are corks. They're not screw tops. So I'm thinking I'll put the dice inside. I'll put some mica powder for effect. I'll drill a hole through the cork and using resin seal it. So I'll seal it. Then through the hole I'll pour in the liquid and then just fill the liquid from there with like a hot glue gun to top it off. I gotta make sure that this stays tight. So I can't put the liquid in first and then try and put it in with like a hot glue gun. It won't solidify properly. I want to say I have like 80 of these bottles in a container, so plenty of practice. Pretty handsome fellow, isn't he? Let me once again, let me fix some small details. While it's still, so now it's slowly starting to cure, so it's giving me a nice resistance, like a resistance that you can still work with, you know? Like I said, I might bump up this one fang here. Make it fun. Definitely has Audrey 2 vibes. Suddenly Seymour is standing beside you. Yeah, I think we're good, guys. Let's call it a night. It's good. God, I feel so much better. I was going stir crazy just sitting here not doing anything in my house. There's only so much you could do. Only so much you could read. Only so many videos you could watch. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for joining in. As always, you can find these videos saved permanently on YouTube. They'll be up here on Twitch for about the next week or so. You have all my social links in the corner. Also, check out my main website, which is theburglethought.com, which I'm slowly building up. Has a general gallery on it, as well as galleries of portfolios, such as a portfolio for my prop work for films, portfolio for my toy concepts, portfolio for character concepts. So check them out if you can. Much appreciated. And I think that will be it. So hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow for another stream. If not, I'll probably be in the movies watching Beetlejuice. We will see how that goes. Once again, guys, I and Dante, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the future. Later.